hood postman, city, hood, click. Let's go.
About humanity, putting truth in these lies, while they busy feeding lies. When you got that tunnel vision, gotta open up your eyes. Wake up and go to sleep. Man, I'm praying all times. And to my guys, ain't no other side. This for my brothers, I'ma pray we all shine. Lock the door. Go ahead, lock the door. Lock the door. Go ahead, lock the door. Yeah, you already know.
Depending on the lessons, some people eat, some people learn. But the game is going to send you a bill. Lock the door.
Lock the door. The game is going to send you a bill. Shout out to the Mailroom Nation, the Mailroom Goons. I am Professor Melly Mill, the Hood Postman. Be sure to click that notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment down below. So when the dope content hit, it's going to feel like the first and the 15. Welcome to the mailroom. When you come in, take a look at your man and examine what's in your heart. You can go anywhere in the world to get a couple of lives, but you come right here to get the truth, and the truth you shall receive. This is not a glorification or a glamorization. It's always an education. Get on the bus and let me take you to school. Shout out to the Mailroom Nation, the Mailroom Goes, Marlon Williams, Postmaster General Michelle, RDL in the house. What's good, people? What's good? What's good, kinfolk, cousins, nieces, and nephews and bloods? Shout out to all you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you, man. This is going to be amazing. This is always an incredible experience when we're able to put things in the proper context and look at things for what they are and not be distracted by other outside agitation individuals that doesn't being a culture. Then shout out to King Mike Marks in the house. If he in there, I don't know if he there yet, but maybe he's showing up. But we like to come there because here's the thing, guys. History is medicine for a sick mind, because within history is a variety of human experience we could teach and learn from. That's just what history is, because if we don't know history, we always know where we've been, but we don't know where we're going. In some cases, in a lot of cases, history help us navigate that path a little bit better because we don't want to repeat it. That's it. We just don't want to repeat it. So you see the title of it, The Black People's Pain is the World's Entertainment. That has been going on for quite some time, and it still goes on to this day. There's just so many ways we can look at that. Knowledge is for free. Ignorance, we pay for ignorance. We pay for it by blood. We pay for it by death. We pay for being in the penitentiary. We pay for the lack of knowledge. We pay for it in so many different ways. It's just unimaginable. It's just unimaginable. But today we want to talk about 1969. And I'm going to show you how 69, 79, 89, 99, 2009, and 2019, how all those 10-year intervals line up and what do they mean and what was happening during those times. But during that course of time, there was always agent provocateurs and people that was aiding and abetting in against us reaching our destination or impeding our progress. There's always been that. There's also been economical hitmen that has been injected into our culture because we make the culture. We make the language, we make the slang, we make the fashion, we We make the music, we make the dances, we pretty much make everything. So foundational black people in America, we are responsible for all the culture that you see. In the mid 1960s, the city of Los Angeles was recovering from, a painful and trauma from the Watts Rebellion. I remember during that time, I had to be about 6 when that happened. And one of the things that just stuck out to my mind was Montague was on the radio and he would say, "Burn, baby, burn." I remember that so clear in my mind. And I would be, as a kid, looking out the windows, parting the curtains and seeing the National Guards riding up and down Avalon in Jeeps with machine guns and all these different, and people throwing Molotov cocktails at them, So it was a different time. But what happened out of that, what inspired us, is that we had that mantra, burn, baby, even though it was just, the Safeways, the Fantastics, the White Fronts, and all these different stores that no longer are here today were all vanquished. They was all burnt down. It was this literally just taken out our community. So this created the way for the Watts Festival. The Sons of Watts were responsible for the Watts Festival. They were the protectors and the maintainers of it. And then there was the Black Panther Party. Alongside of them was the United Slaves by Ron Karenga. So that was, this is where the aiding and abetting and the people that have jealous hearts and jealous minds that seek to change the direction or the dichotomy of Black culture, right? And I'm not pointing out anybody specific. I'm just telling you the way I feel about it. So James Brown, 1968, made a record that just pushed Black power to a whole nother level. He said, "Say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud." During that time, there was the black combs with the beards, the black leather jackets, the black Tams and leather jackets and black pants. Everybody was just pushing that Black power. I'm talking about pushing it. I'm talking about everywhere, from the festivals to the parks to the alleys to everything. And the Black Panther Party was flourishing. It was moving. It was doing something great. They even created the first WIC and food free lunch program and teaching the kids and how to be, better kids and just be better versions of themselves and all that. Teaching Black people how to be proud, and also surveillance and being on point. When the police pulled over Black people, the Black Panther Party would be out there watching them, making sure that everything went right. So one of the superstars out of there was a guy named Bunchy Carter. Bunchy Carter, 1969, and this is all relative to 1969 because we had the James Brown and the record pushed over to 1969. So 69 was popping. January 17, 1969, Bunchy Carter was killed. And right to this day, he's martyred as a Black power leader movement out of Los Angeles. Him along Bobby Hutton, I think his name was Bobby, both was killed at UCLA by some other individuals who claimed to be part of another different movement. And that's a whole nother story. We don't know, because when Ron Karenga went to UCLA, it was 63, 64, 65. And why was he up there in 69 when these brothers was getting their opportunity to be at UCLA? I have no idea. It's just like when I graduated from high school, I didn't go back the next year and hang up at the high school. I moved on to my next phase of life. Why he didn't do that, I do not understand. But we can all look at him as being somebody of an agent or something. Something about that situation that didn't sit right. So 1969, let's go with David Barksdale. David Barksdale was shot 6 times while caught him out of club, and it spilled over to 1969. For some reason, this is the time we hear the name Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover ascended to leadership, and he rose to supreme, joining forces between the Black Keystone and the Gangster Disciples. This is where you get the GDs from. This is the rise of the GDs. That also happened in 1969. 1969, also, we lost another brother, Fred Hampton. gunned down. Now, if Fred Hampton had preceded all this thing, I'm sure that the politics in Chicago would have been quite different. And the same thing goes for Bunchy Carter. If Bunchy Carter had to live and pushed his black culture and his black identity, his black nationalism in the city of Los Angeles, then we probably would have never had a Crip or a Pyru. You follow me where I'm going with this? 1969, Raymond Lee Washington created the Crips. August. By this time, Bunchy is dead. Chairman Fred has not been murdered yet, but soon to come. So you got two major areas where these black people are moving together, but all this black power and all this black movement scared the power structure that was running this corporation. See, because everything in the United States is a corporation. Because see, this is a twit card. It's all the names. All my name is spelled in caps. My driver license all in caps. So that makes me a corporation. United States is not. It is not a conglomerate of states. It is a corporation. And you are, when you go in front of a federal cut, you are become a corporation. It would say the United States government versus Melvin Gibson. That's what it says in the federal court. So, but coming back to where I'm going with all this. So you got Chairman Fred Hampton assassinated, and everything, guys, think everything is political. Don't never think that it's not. Everything is political. Everything is politics, and this is why we can look at these, go back to 1969 and see where we were going in 69 versus where we went. So when these people were removed, that created a power vacuum. Now you got Raymond Washington. You got the triangle of Crippin. I'm going to call it the triangle of Crippin. You got Raymond Washington, you got Stanley Tookie Williams, and you got Mac Thomas, right? 1969. So you got 70, 71, 72. Now, the mantra became Crips don't die, they only multiply. That mantra started ringing all over. Well, simultaneously, the newspaper, the media began to print in the Herald Examiner, the Long Beach Independent, and the Los Angeles Times, Raymond Lee Washington, public enemy #1. And they misspelled the word. It was Crip, but I believe, this is just my opinion, that it was the media that put that Crip stuff together because they misinterpreted what was being said, and they started printing Crib in the newspaper. So that's how that, to me, that's how that came about. And they was writing these articles. So now you get all this national attention. Who are these Crips? What are they about? What are they about? Prior to that, they didn't push the Black Panthers free lunch program, the WIC program. They didn't push them helping the community, providing medical centers and stuff, what we now know as urgent cares. They didn't put none of that in their papers, none of that. But they put this mess in the paper. So now you got something that's becoming a firestorm. And by them saying Crips don't die, they only multiply, it began to grow and grow and grow. And it grew so big, we are now still suffering from the effects of Crip right to this very day. So let me add this part of it. So you got J. Edgar Hoover, then you got Larry Hoover, and then there's Clarence Hoover. Now I know Big Hoover. Now Big Hoover has admitted to me to being kinfolks to Larry Hoover. Now I don't know how they line up with J. Edgar Hoover, with J. Edgar Hoover, and again 1969. Once again, the white establishment is afraid of the Black Power movement. So they start using resources, and they start putting together the COINTELPRO. The COINTELPRO was already up and running, but now they took it and they put it towards the Black Panther Party, any Black Panther Party, any party movement. So they start infiltrating them. And this is where the agent provocateurs, the people that was aiding the bed and trying to dismantle and destroy the Black Power. See, the Black Power movement has always been, its sole support has always been the Black family. See, so this is how they started. They economically came in and started destroying the Black family. They started taking them men out the house. They started putting the women on welfare and all this different stuff. And they just created just a mess. So all this stuff was going on in 1969, and all these other things were developing in 70s, all the way the Crips were snowballing. By this time, the Pyrus come on, because the Pyrus is only a reaction to what the Crips is doing. They anti-Crip. They just reacting to that because they don't want to get ran over. They want to protect their neighborhoods. So, and all in the 70s, this is happening. There's fights and multiple fist fights. Raymond was known as a street fighter. Mac Thomas was a stout, stocky guy, known for his dressing. You know, the 2 Canes and the CC and the Derby, known for that. Stanley Tookie Williams was known as being this huge, masculine, humongous guy. Everybody wanted to, for some reason, everybody felt that they wanted to buff iron because they want to look like Tookie or be big and strong. So these became the identities of Black. They became the ethnic identities of Black people in Compton, Watson, Los Angeles, and other neighboring cities. So all this stuff is covering the city. So 78, Mac Thomas get killed. Mac Thomas get killed. He's shot. They shoot the one guy, the bullet go through that guy and hit Mac and killed Mac, because Mac at that time, Mac say, stop calling me Mac Thomas, call me Cisco. I don't want to be, because they own him, you know what I'm saying? Because now he got this, he's part of this triangle that Raymond, Mac Thomas, and Stanley Tookie Williams. However you want to look at that, you look at it. But I'm just telling you from my perspective of what I saw and what I understand, the observable reality was these individuals was at the forefront of Crippin'. I don't care who else come up with anything else, but I want you to look at that. So 78, Mac Thomas was killed. 79, Raymond Reed Washington was murdered. Everybody pretend like they don't know who did it. They know exactly who did it, but they just don't say it. So I'm not going to say it, okay? When they say it and talk about it, I say it and talk about it. Until then I guess that person is free. So it ain't up to me to speak it. It's not up to me. It's up to the individuals that know about it, that say what they need to say. So 79 again, this situation happened with Stanley Tookie Williams. Remember, we're dealing with 10-year intervals, right? Stanley Tookie Williams is a dead man walking. He's placed in San Quentin on death row. Technically, he's dead. It's just a matter of time for they execute him. So that's 79. So we come all the way. So 79 also is the first time I saw some cocaine. And how I saw it was with my homie Duck. I don't know. He had this girl that was out there prostituting for him. And she would take him to this place. I'm like, man, what the heck is they doing? You know, I'm young. I'm watching it because I'm with the big homie Down Duck Norwood. You know, I'm learning game. I'm learning how to maneuver this game and be part of this game. I'm learning from him because he started the Oaks Park businessman. I want to be a businessman, but at the same time, I want to make sure my crippin' is right. So who better to be under? Donald Duck Norwood. So when I see that, I begin to hear about it. By 80, 81, I actually get my hands on some, and me and a couple of partners of mine, I ain't gonna say their name because they don't like to be mentioned, they opened up a spot and invited me over. It was over in Fruittown. We was in Fruittown. And we started getting money, started getting a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money, because back then it was powder. You could put a 1 or 2 on it and put in the snow seals. And it was like, you had to have $50 and better to come to the spot. You didn't have 50, it wasn't no 5s and 10s and nickels, 20, none of that. 50 and better, okay? So we saw that coming in. So we didn't start seeing the effects of it until around about 84, 85. Nobody knew what the effects of it would be until then. So now the community once again is being assaulted by these economical hitmen and these people that are looking to tear down the black community, because they gotta keep their foot on us. Because if we ever do what we did in 1969, if that ever happened again, like it happened in 1969, because when you know better, you do better, they won't be able to stop what's coming. Because 1969 was so powerful. You would actually, I'm giving you theater of the mind. You would have actually had to been there to understand exactly what I'm telling you. How proud was it me as a young man to see the police pull over a black man, but the Black Panther Party pull right up. I'm talking about they got their long guns. They driving these big bomb cars standing on the running boards, and they got the shoulder holsters. They got the bullets like Pancho Villa going across their chest, and the police is not saying nothing. They observe the police doing their job. This is in Los Angeles, guys. All in Los Angeles. So by the time we roll into the next 10-year interval, 1989, the feds decide to change the law on the cocaine. They changed the law and start locking these people up. But at the same time, before they did that, they started calling it, black people never came up with that name, crack. The media came with that. So that made it something different. You mean to tell me by them adding baking soda and water to cocaine, that changed the dichotomy, that changed the pH balance, that changed it that much the way it became something else? Or did it just become something else because black people was at it? Which one is it? It's because the black people had it and did something more with it, or just because and other people chose the intravenous use of it or to snort it and they started to smoke it? So no. So the feds changed the law. They moved the goalposts. So they made the ratio 100-1, and they started locking black people up left and right. I'm talking about they started building prisons across this country left and right. So now we go up to the next interview, which was 99. Remember 99, Prince say 1999, the revolution? But everybody got afraid when they started talking about Y2K. How the computers was going to go back to zero and everybody wasn't going to know what time it was. The banks was going to lock up on you, on your money and all this different stuff. And that was the dot-com era and all this stuff. People was making, I'm talking about, I knew people was making good money doing the dot-com. I was up at the Disneyland Hotel out there, Beach and Ball, Coachella and Harvard at these big fabulous balls. Me and my girl at the time, because she worked for a .com. And then she was making money. I'm talking about good money. But anyway, so we moved to the next 10-year interval was 2009. I'm sorry, 2009. 2008 when it started, but the effects of it was 2009, and that is the housing market collapsed. Property started because they were selling properties to any and everybody. The documents wasn't right. They were just pushing it through, and the carbon market collapsed. So now we push all the way up to 2019. And I'm just showing you guys that you don't have to believe me, but all you got to do is go back and do what I did, do the research and try to understand that this stuff is not coincidence. So the next one, 2019, COVID-19, guys. They knew about it in 2019 because my son laid in the hospital 2019, sick, didn't know what he was wrong with him. The hospital didn't know what's wrong with him, but luckily for him, he survived and came, and that happened in 2019. So the next set of things is going to happen, guys. It's going to be 2029. Be prepared. Be prepared. So, but coming back to all this other stuff I said, guys, when I'm talking about Bunchy Carter, I'm talking about Raymond Lee Washington, I'm talking about the other Larry Hooper, and I'm talking about Chairman Fred Hampton. You see how we switched from moving in a black nationalism and a black movement, and that was about community, that was about activism, and it was about keeping our communities and policing the police and keeping our streets clean and just being responsible community leaders. And then we wind up in this ignorance, and the ignorance is still taking place in people, and people keep signing up for the ignorance. Every day somebody new sign up for the ignorance. Every day. Every day. And I'm just wondering, where do we go? Salute, man. Where do we go from here? How far must this go? The Economical Hitman, great book. Yeah. Where does it all go? Where does it all lead? Because if we can go back in time, and we go back to 1969, I know some of you wasn't around during that time. Population control. I know some of you weren't around, but you could just, by my words and my passion for 1969, you can tell 1969 was a beautiful year. And it wasn't until the later part of it that it began to turn and go in another direction. Because if we'd have had a Bunchy Carter still with us, we would have had a Chairman Fred Hampton still with us. How can the ignorance supersede what them brothers was putting together? So those brothers had to be removed in order for the ignorance to proceed and become the carrier of ignorance. And a lot of these brothers didn't even know that that's what they was doing. They just was used. Because I remember when the Mayor Tom Bradley, Rosie Greer, and Bob Simmons, they came together and put together the round tables, right? And they started trying to say that they wanted, but all the time what they was doing, if you came, then you had to sign your name. Once they signed your name, they knew who you were, and it was like gathering intelligence. It was intelligence gathering. And once they intelligence gathered, they promised you a job. But Raymond started seeing things, and Raymond was actually thinking about, dang, why can't we have somebody that represent us in the city council, that represent the Crips, be a part of that? He started looking at it like that. What can we do to have a better representation amongst these other sharks and these other people that's looking to demonize us and take advantage of us? And that's where the problem comes, is that, guys, is because we don't read the land, and these people already, like I say, while we planning for Saturday night, they planning for 3 generations. And that's been our problem, because we don't understand that everything is politics. Everything is political. Joe Biden did more damage to the blacks as a senator than he did as a president. Yeah, you're right, because they supported the anti-terrorist bill, which is the crime bill, and the crime bill was really pushed through by the Maxine Waters and Yvonne Bathaway Burks, all those Claiborne and some of the other people that was black congressmen. And then what they did was got the pastors and the bishops in the black community to go low, because where they saying, like, in their community, that the epidemic with this with the crystal and stuff that these white people use, the crystal meth and the pills that they're taking, they saying that they need kick. They saying they need sick. They sick. They need treatment. But the crack people, that majority of the crack during that time was black. They was criminals. See the difference? Because you was black, you was criminal. Over there, they was over there. So they convinced other black people to believe that they were doing the right thing by voting for the crime bill. And they enacted the 3 strikes, and they started striking brothers out. And when they changed the federal law, it went from the old law to the new law, because the old law under that same crime, you wouldn't do maybe 1 or 2 years. Under the new law, 10 to life, depending on the drug amounts. And most people was getting caught 2 or 3 birds of crack. That was life sentence. He was out of there, never to be seen again. That just now, the people like the young Tommy and the brother from Ron Fisher, coming out, had life sentence, and a few other people that, had life sentences now coming out because, Obama did something, I think, and I don't know what happened to the second chance act or something that they put in that allow people to come up out of there as well. But it's all, man, it's all diabolical. But if you understand what I'm saying and you go back and research it and look at it yourself, you'll see how significant Bunchy Carter was, how significant Chairman Fred Hampton was, to where we start following the intimate. And I can't line up all the people in Chicago because I know there was Barksdale, of course, he was shot. So why did they shoot him? They shoot him on purpose so they could put Larry Hoover in place. Then you got J. Edgar Hoover, who's running the FBI at the time, who initiate these programs. Then we got my boy Clarence, who ran away the shot. They also had the GIP program, the Ghetto Informant Program. Right on, there go the shot. Shy, it's a link in there, man. You can grab it and come on in, man. And I want you to speak on the Chicago side. I can't speak on it too much as you can. If you see that link in there, it's in there. It's up at the top, bro. And the link is at the top. And you can speak on Chicago a lot more than I can. And shout out to Stan the Man, shout out to Chili Will. Because these things are important, because if we don't pay attention to this stuff, we are soon to be a permanent underclass because we don't think. And ignorance, man, knowledge is free, but ignorance, we pay for ignorance, bro. We pay for it in blood, we pay for it in sweat, we pay for being incarcerated, homelessness, joblessness, lack of education. There's so many things we can name. But the Black Panther Party, when they start putting the free lunch program, the WIC program, and doing for all these mothers and having, teaching all these different classes, how to teach young Black men to be better versions of themselves. Because here's the thing, man, we don't have no money problem. We have money management problem. 54% of the young Black men in this country is single and childless. 54%, 61% are in the middle class. So, and don't trust me, only go look at blackdemographics.com. Blackdemographics.com. That's where you find that at. Let me see what's Shy in there. Let me see. There you go. What's up, Shy?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing. Man. I was doing the best I could with the Chicago stuff, but I know you got a better full understanding. But just kind of enlighten us on what I was saying as far, because here's the thing: if Fred Hampton had to live, right? I don't think Chicago would have went the way it went based on who Fred Hampton was and what he was doing in the community. But I could be wrong. But correct me on that. And then how Larry Hoover became crown when Barksdale gets shot coming out of that nightclub. He got shot 6 times, and all of a sudden he died a little later on. But kind of like set the things in play, like what happened to Carter in Los Angeles. Set everything in play for the Crips to come out and be that full.
Yeah, you were heading down that right direction. I always said a long time ago, growing up and knowing some people who was around at that time, they really believe, they say the same thing, that if he would have lived, Fred Hampton, the dynamics of the city of Chicago and its politics definitely would have been different. As I stated before, they probably would have controlled the city council, and they would have did the same thing that the Irish did in the city of Chicago, and it would have been a whole different atmosphere at that particular time. And then plus he had the Rainbow Coalition. Of course, when you mention Rainbow these days, it's associated with something else. But when he was able to, gather some of the whites, the Latinos, the blacks, and bring them under one accord and made them realize that they kind of fighting in some cases along the same lines, that's when he had to be eliminated. And also, I don't think a lot of people know that Fred Hampton was also about to be the spokesman for the National Black Panthers Party. He was about to be on the board to be a national spokesman. And that was, I think, what's his name, out of California, not Bunchy Carter, but it was the other one, the guy that's still around today.
Bobby
Uh,
Sears.
Not Bobby Sears. It's another one. He used to draw. I think he was like, I'm drawing a blank right now on his name, but I know he's still around now. But he still, yeah, he even said that he was about to be the national spokesman for
So
the Black Panther
people
Party.
don't know, Shy, that Jesse Jackson stole the Rainbow Coalition from Fred Hampton.
Definitely, yeah. He got the concept from Fred Hampton and his movement. He created the Rainbow Coalition as a spinoff of what Fred Hampton was developing in Chicago with his Rainbow Coalition that included also a gang that became political was the Puerto Rican Young Lords. The Young Lords started off as a street gang, but then they became political, and of course they spread and got big in New York as well. But they also started as a street gang. But them dealing with Fred Hampton in prison, he kind of changed their mindset on certain things, and they became politicized and became pretty much a political organization, the Young Lords. So, then they have, of course, they had some segments of the Brown Berets, and they had a few other things too. But yeah, I do believe that if Fred Hampton would have lived, I think things would have been a lot different in Chicago than we see probably today. And I don't think they could let that happen. They wasn't going to let that ride too much.
How important is the local elections?
Local elections is very important because that's your city council, your city council, your aldermans, your county commissioners. All those things to me are much more important in many respects than the national politics, because that's what affects you directly. I mean, it affects your state tax, your local tax. And if you can control your city politics, you can have actually a lot of control. And whoever controls it, they control the money, they control what neighborhoods and wards get this and get that. And if you control that element of your local politics or your city or whatever the case may be, you hold a lot of power. You can open up jobs, create jobs, you can give jobs. And again, Chicago, I know it's not the only city, but Chicago's notorious for a peonage. That nepotism system that ran that city very well under the Democratic machine of Richard J. Daley.
Uh-huh. And that's what Larry Hoover picked up on it, but he tried to interject the drug trade along with the politics, but Fred Hampton wouldn't have injected that in there. He just would have kept it strictly politics. But when you try to interject illegal means or gains in some stuff that politics, you're gonna lose at that battle. I mean, Larry Hoover had he had a plan, but he just had the right string, wrong yo-yo.
Yeah, I think he was slowly and don't get me wrong, I know some of the GD, they did a lot of that stuff too. A lot of them were, and a lot of those things that they try to connect Larry Hoover to, a lot of that stuff he didn't have nothing to do with. A lot of people were just using his name to get off or cut their time and just to kind of just throw him under the bus. Yeah, so a lot of people would just use his name for every little thing. It's like, okay, how could he continue to run a drug trade when the man is pretty much locked down 23 hours a day with no human contact? That's impossible. If that's the case, then he can get himself out of jail. So it's like a lot of stuff, a lot of people were just testifying on his name just to get their times cut. But he did get influenced by Richard J. Daley to an extent as far as organizing the politics, because he read a book called Boss, and it was about Richard J. Daley. That was written by a reporter named Mike Royko. Is a bestseller, and they just kind of go through daily life and how he started off as a street gang member, and then what made them different than the black gangs was that they were able to organize and become a part of the political structure. So they was kind of giving a way out, versus when the blacks tried to do it, they did their best to keep them out and keep funds from going to them so they can improve their neighborhoods and kind of grow away or grow out of their street life like the Irish did. And Daley wasn't having that.
A lot of people don't understand that government do use media to as a weapon against us to keep us thrown off or interject falsehoods and narratives that just are not true. They just do that because I was just giving a part how crack cocaine came about. We didn't create that. That came from media. How they used to say the Crips. That didn't come from us. That came from them. How they start saying South Central. There's no such place in South Central LA. That's the media, because they want to make it seem different, and they wanted to have a dangerous and a mystique to it, that where you look at it and say, oh no, I don't want to be messing with them stuff. Man, they bad over here. That's corrupt, So this, police departments around this country that use the media also as a tool to weaponize what they're doing against Black people.
Yeah, and it's because you hit on the key. I think also 69 was also a key year for a lot of different reasons, and some of the same reasons that you mentioned. Also in 69 in Chicago, I know they had what they call LSD, and LSD was an organization that consists of Lord, Stones, and disciples. So basically, they came together to pretty much protest against some of the city contractors that was doing construction in the Black areas, and they wasn't hiring a lot of Black youth to do some of those jobs. So what they did was they came together, they put aside their differences and said, well, all the Lords, the Stones, and disciples have to come together, and then we're going to create this organization to make them hire us, because they doing all this work in our community. They refuse. So they stopped a lot of work that was going on. They actually created some jobs. They actually created a lot of different things that wasn't available to them if they didn't create that organization, LSD, in 1969. And that was a key moment in Chicago, because it showed that if those brothers put their differences aside, regardless if he was a Vice Lord, a Black Stone, or a disciple, they could make things happen. And of course, that scared the city politicians in Chicago, and they did everything they could to destroy that. And that's what I mentioned, that GIP program, because a lot of people never heard of it, but it's actually a program, the Ghetto Informant Program. And it ran from, I think, 69 to about 71, 72, alongside COINTELPRO and alongside Operation Chaos. There was all these things were going on simultaneously at the same time. And they called it the Ghetto Informant Program because they had a lot of informants in the Black neighborhoods to, of course, inform on any activity that they deemed that was a threat to the establishment. That's all that was on.
Ghetto Informant Program.
The Ghetto Informant Program. Yeah. And they had a lot of little programs like that a lot of people never heard of. So they have, because in Chicago, one of the first gangs probably that I know of to incorporate as a corporation were the Vice Lords. And that's why they were called Conservative Vice Lord Incorporated. So what they try to do is they got these loans and everything, these funding and all these others that open up businesses on the west side of Chicago in Lawndale. Pretty much was a stronghold of the Vice Lords. And they opened up the Teen Town, they opened up ice cream parlors, they opened up little clothing stores, they had a ballroom, game room, all these things they opened up. And of course, then you had some so-called Vice Lord members doing crimes. And me personally, I believe that some of these crimes that some of these guys were doing were, informants, just to give the government an excuse to shut them down, even when they were trying to do positive.
Ron Karenga graduated from UCLA in 1964-65, but yet he was up there in 69 when Bunchy Carter and the other brother Bobby was assassinated. They had a little whatever it was, United States. It was called the United Slaves, the US organization, but seemed like they had common goals. But I don't know what the deal was, because once again, Ron Karenga is still around, and we don't know if he was a government agent, or we don't know nothing. But I know a lot of these guys be, aiding and abetting in government politics and trying to run the government ops behind the back door, behind what, when they see Black people move in a certain direction, because 1969 was pivotal across this country. Like I say, we lost Bunchy Carter, we lost Fred Hampton, we lost basically the Black Panther Party was going down, in shambles, and and then all of a sudden we get people like Raymond Lee Washington, and I'm not shaming Raymond Lee Washington. He was just, in his community doing what he was doing, and he felt like he needed to protect it. I understand that. And also Larry Hoover, they was moving differently from these brothers that grew up in the Black Power movement. They just was moving different, and it's what's interesting about all that, Shy, is right to this day we still having the problems with the same thing. And these brothers, well, Larry's been down in that tuna can for forever down in the ADX in Colorado, and Raymond's been dead since 1979. What he created is still here.
Yeah, and I'd always say, if and this is a conversation that I have with a couple of guys. They always said that if Larry Hoover's plan was to get out and continue to do what he supposedly had done before he went in, he would have been out. He would have been gone. He would have been released. And to me, that's a sign of saying that he's more than likely a changed man. And I think they really came hard down on him when he got that 21st century vote. When he created that organization and he had all those GDs go down there and vote downtown by the thousands, they had to snatch him off the streets. They had to get him. They had to get him. And a lot of people don't know that history, that a lot of things that some of the guys were doing back in the neighborhood. Of course, you had that element. I'm not going to sit there and try to paint all the disciples as they were just this revolutionary group. That's not the case. But I do think that there were some possible elements of positivity that was there, but because of those circumstances, because of the money and the little things they tried to do positive was always shunned upon as if it was some type of a scam to say, well, y'all just fronting because y'all want to make people think y'all this, but y'all doing that. But I really do believe that if his idea was to do that, I think he would have been released a long time ago, because they can't tell me that everybody that went in with him are out. He's the only one that's in. Like people that supposed to have been his codees and all this other stuff who did the 20 years, those guys are out now. But he's the only one that's still locked up in there. But it's just crazy to me.
It's interesting though, Shai, that you had J. Edgar Hoover running the FBI. You had Larry Hoover running the Gangster Disciples, right? Then we got Clarence Hoover, which was in LA that escaped from a reformatory over in Arkansas. He told me himself, came to LA and became this, a notable Crip that Stanley Tookie Williams wrote about it in his book. And he was actually one of the Magnificent Sevens. So, and I'm not making anything out of it. I'm just telling you, it's just interesting that they all got the same damn last name.
Yeah. And we know that J. Edgar Hoover, people read about him. The extent of the stuff that he did to suppress anything positive coming out of Black communities all over this country, not just Chicago, not just LA, everywhere. People will be surprised by the length of this man's dirt, his corruption, and his secrets that he kept, and him overlooking, what the mob was doing because they had stuff on him, so, that guy, he's, yeah, he a lot of people, there's some books about him, about how he felt like he was trying to maintain the Christianity of America, and he was looked upon as the savior of the morality of the country. That's why a lot of people supported and backed his policies back in the day. Of course, we got more information on him now than we did back then. But, we all know there was just a facade for him to cover up what he wanted to cover up and let go of what he wanted to let go. So it was just a front, because you can't tell me you want to go after these. You want to paint the Black Panthers as a street gang. You want to paint the Black Panthers as this and paint the Black Panthers as that. But you deny the existence of the mob. That's just ridiculous. Like, what's his motive? We know his motives, but it just goes to show the hypocrisy of his policies.
Right. And then you right, Justice. We got to look up the etymology of the last name Hoover. You're right. That is a good way to start. I know my boy, him and Larry, they related. I know that. Because he told me so. But You know, I just didn't know. You know, Jago Slooper might have been their slave master or something.
I do believe there's a lot
And it's
of
nothing relatable to them or anything like that. But what I'm saying, they may not even know that they come from that lineage. You know what I mean?
yeah, and we'll probably find out with anybody, what all our last names. We, you know, whether all our last names go back to somewhere that has an etymology and a story somewhere. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
you know, it's just finding out what that is. But yeah, we'd be surprised where all of our names come from and who was the founder or whatever of our last name. So it's it's one of those things, man. Like you said, like you were saying, and when history about it repeating itself, and it's a real thing. You know, it's a real thing.
We got to prepare, man, because that's a real statement when I say black people pain is the world's entertainment, man. The black, you know how many people profit off of us just doing ignorance, just being ignorant. There's companies that profit off our ignorance. There's companies that make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of us just simply being ignorant.
Yeah. It's probably, like you said, it's profitable. You hit the nail on the head. It's very profitable. It's very. That's why it's pushed so hard, because there's so much profit in it, and they don't want to see us doing anything outside of the stereotype of what a black person should and shouldn't be doing, and anything that's contrary to what they think is us, they don't know how to accept it. Because they used to have been lied to, telling, hey, this is black culture, or this is how you act black, or this is how you're supposed to act like as a black man or as a black woman, and anything that contrary to that, it's just unbelievable. Because in our minds, we've been taught this is you all, this is how you all act. So it's definitely profitable in our pain, definitely.
Well, sir, I appreciate you joining us, man. Once again, it's been you come in saying today, man, it was able to add context to what I was saying. I appreciate you, man. Like I say, man, your policy, you got something you want to discuss, bring it up to me, and we'll get it in, bro.
Okay, I definitely appreciate the time as always.
Man, it look like you in the office.
Well, not necessarily the office. I'm in this little room right here, man, in this little center. It's a little kind of like a library room. So I just came in here because the kids are there yelling and stuff. So I just came in here to get some peace, quiet.
I appreciate you taking out your time, man, and come spend it with us a little minute. Once again, Sean, man, we look forward to
see y'all later.
Appreciate
brother. Appreciate you.
Right. Man, this is always, I mean, you guys, this is not an indictment. This is an enlightenment, as Malik would say. This is not an indictment. This is an enlightenment. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I'm just, how it just, my perception and experience of the reality. That's it. What's behind the appearance is always the reality. And we always got to take it into account. And you guys go look at Stanley Tookie Williams' book. Shout out to Vladimir's dad. What's going on with you? Go look in there, you see Big Hoove up in there. His name Clarence Hoover. He's in there. He's one of the first Magnificent Seven. So, you want to look him up. I see people leaving messages in there. I don't know what they behind the private chat. I don't know what that is. We got a private chat going on. But anyway, I appreciate you guys for sharing time and space with me. I am the Hood Postman, and I try to just, bring you guys the note, man. Ring that bell, and I'll bring you the mail, man. That's just it. Young Aunt Hefe, man, ain't no money matter but what the checks say. That's what my young guys say. Don't matter. And 4Xers say off the back. Yeah, I listen to them young guys. I be hearing what they be saying. I'm saying, okay, that sounds catchy, I give them they flowers, man, off the back. Don't nothing matter but what the checks say. With that being said, I am Professor Melly Mill, the Hood Postman. Be sure to click the notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment down below. So when the dope content hit, it'll feel like the first of the 50. Don't mind me just watching, but go ahead and lock that dope.
Cali Finest, baby. Proof of grind all the time. Music money. Got a dollar sign. Hub City.
I'm a street nigga, streets fuck with me. I'ma keep pushing products till the feds get me. It's guap off top, diamond Cartier. That nigga wall won't give a broke bitch the time of day. They see me climbing, they see me shining. That's hard work, proof of grinding. New money got me tipping in that 550. I leave bad man and I'm so pretty. I got that tech with me, that's my hater sprayer. Go big, grind now, nigga, play later. What can I say? I'm addicted to this paper stacking, and I don't talk about it, I just make it happen. Word on the block is that my shit go. Reach for the low.
Lock the door, cause we are gone.